Long-running series are great, but sometimes we also need to look at the newcomers to find the potential future gems. Today we will talk about the new webtoon called The Hammer. And to give all of you a first impression as well, let me read the summary for you. If the name Tiny brings to mind a diminutive rogue befitting the name, think again. Tiny, the character in this picture, is a headstrong, muscle-bound warrior who would rather smash his way through obstacles with his trusty warhammer than use his brain. When Tiny and the legendary Ten Knights of Asran are defeated by the Demon Beastlord Gluttony, he is given a second chance at life as he is magically sent back to the past. Relying on his knowledge of the future, the young Tiny must right the wrongs of the past and prepare for the upcoming battle. So, what do you say? Does it sound pretty generic so far? Well, I agree with you. While regression type stories, as going back to the point in the past, are becoming more and more popular and common. So combining that with a headstrong main character as we know them from a lot of different shonen series and also a demon lord, we have seen it all basically. But that shouldn't stop us from giving this series a try. The premise alone doesn't make the story because there are still many things for us to discover. So, what is the obvious next step? Well, reading all of the available chapters. So from now on I will have to give a slight spoiler warning for chapters 1 to 3, but I will try my best to keep major things vague so that you can still enjoy the beginning on your own time as well. The Hammer is a story about growth, revenge, and so much more. In just 3 chapters we have already learned a lot and can predict the future with all these things. At the start everything is looking grim. Our protagonist with the unconventional name Tiny is seen close to death. What we are experiencing here is the final battle of his first life, where he is fighting against the Demon Beastlord Gluttony, who was already mentioned in the premise, so that's not a spoiler. From all warriors present, Tiny apparently left the biggest impression on the incredible demon, but we are also not sure if Tiny really is the strongest. So compared to other regression type stories I read, I thought, hey, those guys actually did pretty well for their first try, but things are never that easy. We all know that Tiny would die because he has to go back to the past, and that in his next life he would try to win the battle without as many casualties. Even if you haven't read the chapters yet, you might have picked up a scary truth from a certain name. Let's just say it won't be that simple to save the continent or the entire world. How the regression actually works is something very interesting, and I feel like that already makes the story a lot better. I want you guys to find it out yourself, so I'm not going to go into much detail here. We are already moving away from the generic path, and that is always great news. At the end of chapter 1 and in the remaining 2 chapters, we learn about Tiny's backstory and also get a glimpse at the power system this webtoon will use in the future. And let me tell you something. If you thought the sad part about Tiny's life was seeing all his friends and comrades die in his first life, you are only half right. This character already went through a lot before that event, and now that he returned to his younger body, he might be cursed to face his demons once again, and go through all the traumatic scenes all over again. The exact time at which he returns to his body might as well be a sick joke the authors tried to do. Tiny returned to save the world, but he instantly got thrown back into one of his worst nightmares. He had an important mission he got in his past life, but first of all, a bit of revenge is on the menu. We learn more about his thoughts and how even as an adult he kept on dreaming about this day, but they weren't good dreams. Overcoming past burdens and already changing the timeline drastically, Tiny is in for a couple of surprises. It is hard to say anything about other characters at this moment, as in the first 3 chapters we mainly focus on Tiny himself, but we did at least meet a few characters that might turn out to be relevant in the future. So they could be love interests, servants, subordinates, or just friends in general. So there are a lot of interesting things that this story can take on in the future. Tiny is not alone in this world, so much is already clear, and with his adult memories he knows that as well as we readers do. However, as an actual child, he must have suffered a lot, so I'm talking about his first life. He must have cried a lot and blamed himself a lot for everything that happens. The classic approach of, if only I had been stronger. But hey, if it works, it works. Another interesting thing the author already managed to establish in these first 3 chapters is that everything might not be as simple as it seems at first glance. Just like with many regression type stories, if Tiny acts up too much, his knowledge about the future might lose more and more value over time as the timeline changes from the one he knows, from the original. And it appears like the shifts have already started. Chapter 3 ended on a cliffhanger that might explain one of the questions I have in a moment, but it appears that already in Tiny's home area a lot of stuff is happening he didn't notice in his first life. Will it be enough for our protagonist to grow stronger by himself? I personally doubt that, as the world is much bigger and even more dangerous than what we might have expected in the first chapters. All in all, I have to say, it was an above average start, and while Tiny may still feels a bit bland, his character is already getting established and his goal is very clear to us as well. Well, we might go on a lot of side goals before getting back to the battle against the Demon Beastlord Gluttony, but it will all be worth it in the end, I'm sure of that. I'm excited to see what other characters will get introduced, how vast the magic system might be, and also when Tiny will get his warhammer in this life. It is hard to come to a verdict already, but in my opinion, the webtoon The Hammer is worth checking out. Give it a try and tell me your opinion about the currently available chapters, and we can theorize together in the comment section about what may happen in the future of the story. But that's all from me for today. All that's left to be said is check out this webtoon, stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro out. See you in the next video. Bye!